I'm Tamborine Borrelli, Director of Washington Election Integrity Coalition United, WEiCU, and I'm also running for Secretary of State. If you have heard about me and you've heard absolutely horrible things about me, it's because there has been, for the past year, a very orchestrated hit campaign against me for one reason and one reason only. It's very simple. Because I am fighting to end election fraud in Washington state, and those who are posing like they are fighting for election integrity, they have done everything to smear my name and to discredit me.
One, she didn't know what she was talking about constitutionally. Two, she took money from people. Three, she did it in a church under the auspice of representing people's conservative values and pulled on the heartstrings of people. And mind you, this is in November, still in the lockdown, when people feel as though they've been marginalized and their beliefs pushed to the side and are living in a modern day tyranny. And she's taking advantage of them at their weakest point, when they're most vulnerable in the house of God, and had no trouble doing it.
My name is Anne-Marie Kebry, and I am the treasurer for WEiCU. I've known Tamborine for almost 2 years now and have worked very closely with her, and also part of WEiCU. And I do want to say Tamborine has always been a person of just such strong character, which is the reason why I was really attracted to working with both Tamborine and the organization WEiCU because of that. I want to speak specifically to some misinformation that is being shared about Tamborine, about an event that took place on November 8th, a Monday night, at a Foursquare church in Chehalis. And Tamborine had an opportunity to speak there, and the event was a Pushback for Freedom. In the front row, there were several people sitting off to the side, and although I didn't personally witness them the whole time, a lady who was sitting behind me was poking me on the shoulder and asking me, she goes, "Did you see that? Did you see what happened?" And I said, well, I just saw, that there was a gentleman who kept standing up, and I guess he's a police chief Morningstar. And she said, yeah, he's sitting next to another woman and they're taping Tamborine. She goes, they're taping her. And I really didn't know what to think, but this woman seemed really disturbed by the whole interaction that had taken place during the event.
And as Providence would have it, the person that is involved in this latest video out about me, that I plant people in the audience at places. Oh, we've caught Tamborine at multiple events. I, in the past year, didn't even go speak at multiple events. And the fact that them saying I plant people in the audience, pretend I don't know them, which is ridiculous, to have them raise money for WEiCU and their lawsuits, our lawsuits. I'm so good at fundraising that we have basically less than, our lawyer works pro bono, so that tells you that.
And while she's in the midst of talking about how she single-handedly is going to be able to remove Jay Inslee from office for filing this thing called an emotion, which is totally fictitious, we had someone in the crowd stand up and say, hey, she's fighting for our rights and we need to support her, and who here can donate $1,000? And then this other gal stood up and said, I can donate $100, and neither of these people were recognized by any of us. And it was clear to me, she's like a huckster. This was a scam.
Right after Tamborine had spoke, a gentleman had also stood up, and I believe his name is Ken, and I only know that because I had heard after. He had asked people to donate to WEiCU, donate to Tamborine's cause, and donate to our cause, for WEiCU. And He asked everybody just a call for help, which was very nice. I had never seen the gentleman before, nor have I ever seen anybody do something like that. So I was pretty impressed that he had gotten up and said something like that because, you know, it was just very honorable of him to offer that. But it wasn't something that happens on a regular basis. And I was also really alarmed to hear that after he had done that, I guess Chief Morningstar or Police Chief Morningstar had said something to the effect that I had stood up and said I was going to donate $100, which is really, I didn't say that. So that was just really interesting to bring up that fact, or that is a fact when it didn't happen.
In your recollection of that evening, what inspired you to stand up in support of WEiCU?
Yeah, no, great question. This is something I do when I attend meetings, if I like what's going on. And it comes back, it kind of comes out of my Tea Party experience, where in the early Tea Party, you know, it was not about the money. And so we didn't even, you know, if we broke even, we were happy. But I realized that an organization to be successful does have to have a stream of money to, you know, keep the lights on. And so I've been known to stand up in meetings and pass the hat and say, you know, this group needs to support itself. You need to pass the hat, and then, you know, et cetera. So I've done that in I think more than one meeting. This was just one of those meetings where I got the update from you, realized that, you know, what you're facing in terms of trying to crack the nut of corruption that holds the state of Washington in its grip. It's going to take money to run websites, et cetera, et cetera. So I stood up just of my own volition and said, you know, I'm going to give some money to this cause. I think this is worthwhile, and you need to support worthwhile causes.
Do you remember me at all that evening saying that I was any kind of constitutional expert?
No, and I remember that there was an interaction with some guy who was a sheriff or a law enforcement thing, and it struck me as odd that he would stand up and start arguing with you. It's like, this guy's a disruptor or something.
The other part of this that was just really different, and I had never seen this happen before at one of the events. After she spoke, this police chief Morningstar had pulled her aside and there was another woman there too, and they started talking to Tamborine, and it was really a confrontational type of discussion. It wasn't supportive in any way of her making the efforts, or WEiCU making the efforts, and Tamborine looking for ways to address in some manner how to fight what was going on in the state, how to bring back our freedom and our sense of a constitutional state. And Tamborine is by no means an expert on the Constitution, but I knew at that point that she was looking into other means of addressing the unconstitutional actions that were taking place in the state. And evidently, this conversation went on for quite some time. I was only there for maybe 20 minutes, and I was just surprised at the kind of, what I saw as kind of badgering.
Tonight was very providential, what unfolded here in Thurston County at a candidate forum. After the fact, there was someone that was here in attendance and came up to me and asked me a question. And that question unfolded into spelling out for you. This is why I'm doing this video. This is gonna spell out to you the purpose, the reason why there is this defamation campaign against me. So people will write me off, the fact that they won't want to listen to what I have to say because they believe the things that they hear.
So I had watched this video of somebody in Morton, Washington, saying that he was at a Tamborine event, and that Tamborine pointed to somebody in the back, or somebody in the back said, you know, I'll donate money. And then after the event, she walks out. This is what I heard on the video, that she walks out and she knew this guy and said, you know, and he goes, well, I'll help you anytime you need it. And he goes off. So I was very turned off that sounded very underhanded. And so tonight, Tamborine was here, and I went up and I said, I watched this video, I heard this, is this true? Because I needed to verify it. And she shared that no, it wasn't true, and I spoke to the guy that was in the back of the room that she apparently knew ahead of time, and he said, no, that isn't true. So this is definitely not how it was portrayed in the video, which was purported to be very accurate. So I hope people will really look further behind what they see to really find the truth and actually ask people.
As she's leaving, and this is the icing on the cake, as she's walking out, the guy that stood up and said, hey, she's fighting for us, reached out, shook her hand. She said, thank you. And he goes, hey, let me know if you need me again. And she goes, thank you, I'll get a hold of you. He was obviously another plant.
So after the meeting, and I had, I don't think I sat next to my friends. Several friends from Thurston County came, and they remember the meeting, and they would probably give you just similar comments. But after the meeting, there were two young men at the back of the room by where they do the sound booth. And I forget if I struck up a conversation or they struck up a conversation, but it was like a weird conversation. They accused me off the bat of being a shill. Now, a shill is a sales technique. You have a plant in the audience who prearranged will stand up and say something favorable for the product. That would be a typical shill. I was not that, and I told them, no, I didn't arrange to say all this stuff. It was spontaneous on my part, and I told them so.
And so when you saw me here as a candidate, you were suspicious because
I was ready to call you on it until I heard you talk, and I thought, whoa, she doesn't sound like what I heard on the video.
What did I sound like?
You came across as very authentic here in the candidate forum tonight.
And this person's running for public office. I don't care if she's running as a libertarian, an independent, Democrat, or Republican. Nobody running for public office, regardless of party doing that, has any integrity.
You know, I would say overall, well, my main point is that Tamborine is a person of extreme character. And again, I wouldn't be part of this organization, nor would many, without that. And I say that in all honesty, and I say that, you know, from a person who is a very strong believer. So it's just very disturbing to hear this, and it's more disturbing because it was put on a video, a professional video, and I'm thinking the only reason it would be done that way and the way that this would happen is because it was something that is almost like a professional job against her. So very disappointing, and for any of us who call ourselves patriots or any patriots that are hearing something like this, I just ask that you just use discernment.
What was the main thing that you took away from everything I said?
You are very, very passionate and determined to get to the bottom of the election fraud. And this is not just a wanting attention. This is not just I changed my colors. You know, if I used to be a Bernie Sanders and now I'm this, so it's a flavor of the day. That is not who you are. And you came across as very authentic, wanting to correct the corrupt election system now. Not like little incremental, but now.
I would like to encourage anyone who listens to this, first of all, if you're on the other side of this issue, you know, heaven help you. But I would encourage anyone who's fair-minded, any reasonable person, to find out the facts. And just, you know, now you have more facts because I'm coming out and saying, this is my side of the story. And it's totally flip opposite, 180 degrees for the narrative that's going around about WEiCU and about Tamborine. These are personal attacks. And yeah, for me to be caught up in this, none of these people that are spreading these rumors have come to me, other than at the meeting, those two guys accused me, and they should be held accountable. This is bringing shame and upon the Republican Party for people to perpetuate lies, and their motives need to be questioned.
Yeah, well, it makes it very hard in this whole election thing, is to know who's telling the truth and who's smearing and who's really walking their talk. And so everybody needs to ask and really keep pushing until you find out what is true, because it's not just in the national news, it's here in Thurston County. We need to get what candidates really stand for.
God is so good. He wants truth to shine on all of this evil, libelous plan to prevent Washington State from getting clean of all of this evil fraud. So I'm going to take the camera now.